Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus A330 pilot, and welcome to another Real Ops featuring the Discover Airlines Airbus A330-300. Today we're flying to my absolute favorite destination, the Maldives. So join me in the cockpit as we start to prepare our A330-300 for a flight to paradise. Now we're going to start this one with the basics, and that of course means looking at the flight plan. So let's go ahead and get out our sim brief, and then we can start with our check of the route. And I've opened the general route chart for you already. You can see we're leaving Frankfurt to the south and then via Turkey down into Iraq and then over Dubai straight down to Mali. Looking at the significant weather chart, we are looking at a little bit of turbulence possibly over here, but only forecast until flight level 340, so chances are we might just be able to fly above it at flight level 350. Later on, going through Turkey then, we are finally hitting the jet streams that are so typical for this time of the year, and we are going to be flying right along the jets all the way down south to the Maldives, which leads to a pretty short flight time today. Now, the flight time itself is forecast at just about 9 hours 20, and we are now going to check the general flight plan. So we are flying the Kilo Alpha on OFP number 3, which is planned as an ETOPS flight from Frankfurt down to Mali. And the flight number today is going to be Ocean 154. We have almost 160 tons of zero fuel weight and a planned takeoff weight of 220.3. Cost next 10 is our plan for the day, and we start at flight level 350, later on climb to 370, and then finally 390. If we go a little bit further down in the flight plan to the fuel section, we can see that we have a planned takeoff fuel of 60.5 plus 500 kilos of taxi fuel, leading us to 61 tons of fuel. This includes a contingency of 3% and an alternate to a very long Indian name, which I can't really pronounce, so we'll just default to calling it Tiru today. Now, if we needed to fly a little bit faster, we can see that Corsair 300 gives us some 3 tons extra fuel, saving us 19 minutes. However, we do have a rather significant loss of almost $300 per tons of discretionary fuel. So unless absolutely needed, we can stick to the 61 tons that we'd have by default. And if we go up here, we can see that we will arrive just about on time. So for that reason, I'm not really going to take anything extra over here. 61 tons is the minimum. The only one thing I want to do is, because I don't trust the IndyBuilds A330 fully in terms of the fuel usage just yet, we'll take a ton more there. So 62 tons of fuel is what we will uplift for today's flight to paradise. Alright, that much for our basics. Then I suppose with that out of the way, let's go ahead and pick the airplane up. Now, we are picking the plane up at the gate, prepared by engineering. However, nonetheless, we still need to execute the full procedures. So let's start right down here, and we are going to check that the engine masters are off. Start select the norm, the weather radar is turned off. Landing gear lever down, the wiper selectors are both in the off position. Our batteries have more than 25.5 volts each. However, since they're turned on already, we can't really check that properly. Well then, next up, let's go ahead and start the APU. So we'll run the APU fire test here. And then let's go ahead and hit the APU master switch and the starter switch. Now, next up, the IRSs, all 3 of them are coming on. Then we can set up our lights, and to be completely honest, there isn't all that much for us to set today, because I'll simply turn everything fully bright. It's a little bit of a pity that the overhead panel is just such a black hole, because in the real plane that's really not the case. In the real plane that thing is a lot brighter at night. Okay, so that much for those basics over here. APU is starting. I will skip the radio tuning panel just for the time being. We are flying this one on VATSIM, however, I don't want ATC to interrupt us all the time, so let's just tune something that we wouldn't really be using over here. So 1215 in number 2, that one we are using, and then on VHF 1 we'll just take something. Alright, the loudspeaker is coming up like that, and we'll do the same on the other end side as well. So, APU is almost available. Once it becomes available, we are going to turn the APU bleed on. And here we go. APU bleed is coming online. Perfect. Then let's head over into the electronic flight bag. And over here we are going to start downloading our SimBrief flight plan. And then we can go ahead and go to the payload menu, download the SimBrief data from here. And we said we wanted 62 tons of fuel today. Okay, apply the load, and we'll do that instant, because I don't really like waiting. And well, then let's go into the takeoff page and check runway 18. We're going to synchronize everything. Let's see, our weight is going to be 222 tons like that. So let's go over here, weight 222, conf 2 takeoff, air conditioning off, anti-ice off, and we don't need a forced toga. Calculate. And here we go. We are brake energy limited, rather high takeoff speeds, 50 degrees flex, and our performance limiting takeoff weight 254.1, so we are good to go. Alright. Then let's continue with our EFB setup by going for the charts. So we need the airport chart and the ground chart in general, and we'll also go for the parking stands east. And then we also need some departures, runway 18, and we are most likely departing on the Cindy 6 Sierra departure, so let's go ahead and quickly find the chart for that one as well. And here it is. Perfect. So that's our electronic flight bag prepared. For our aircraft itself, let's do a recall for 3 seconds. Okay, no warnings. We do have one OEB, and that is incorrect vertical profile on non-precision approaches. We are aware of that. And we also have cabin pressure, excess cabin altitude. If the warning comes up, then we are going to carry out the memory items nonetheless, what's shown on the pressurization page. So just having the warning without confirming it on the pressurization page will be sufficient to carry out the memory items. Well, and that's it. So we do have sufficient oxygen, we do have the hydraulics. Let's go for the engines and check the oil quantity. FADEC is coming on. And yeah, that's sufficient for our flight today. Alright, the flaps agree with the lever, ground spoilers are retracted. Then let's check our alternate brakes, which are looking good. And park and brake is set again. Wonderful. So with that, our aircraft is safe for service. Then let's go ahead and start with our flight deck setup. You guys have seen me do this a lot of times already, so I am gonna make it a little bit easier over here. By simply doing it without adding all those explanations here. Okay, let's see what the current QNH is. 1040. Wow. That's some high QNH. And here we go. So, we are possibly flying through GPS jamming areas today. That means we'll set the clock to internal. Keep the frequencies where they are, and well, then let's move up into our FMS setup. So, It's an A330-300, Trent 700 engines, the nav database is current, we can delete any of the previously stored waypoints, and check any and all of those scratchpad messages. Then let's bring up the flight plan. Here we go. Alright, so, performance initialize. Frankfurt to Male, Ocean 154, alternate in Tiru, and Corsair X10, flight level 350 initially. On to the flight plan then. Departure, runway 18, and we have the Cindy 6 Sierra departure. Insert that, and for the arrival, it'll be runway 36. And we do have an RNAV approach available over there, coming in via the Lelam 2 Alpha arrival. Here we are. And that shall be it for the time being. Now let's cross-check our SID, and we go straight ahead to the departure end of runway, and thereafter Cindy 6 Sierra, where is it? Well, here it is. Delta Foxtrot 158 above 800 feet, maximum 220 knots. Left turn Delta Foxtrot 159er above 2,500 feet. Delta Foxtrot 170 above 4,600 feet, and then we have Amtix and Cindy. And that's that. Now, on a long flight like this, where you have an extremely long route string, it is always a good idea to cross-check the entire flight plan to see if there may be any other discontinuities, or if the aircraft may just not have uplinked any and all of those airways. That does happen. Quite a bit, actually. But this is actually looking pretty good. Alright. So far so good. We can keep all of those. Then let's go ahead and program the emergency. So Frankfurt X3 is going to be our engine out point, and that's based off runway 18 on a 176 track and 25 miles. PBD points, door. Now let's go for the secondary flight plan. And we can enter all of that. Frankfurt X3 over here. Give me a holding over here, and that is okay. And then immediate return to Frankfurt. Alright, for the arrival, we'll have the ILS Zulu approach runway 7 center. Now let's enter the extended center line. Frankfurt 18 and 176 is the radial. And then FRA X3 as the waypoint. Alright. Next up, we gotta enter our step climbs, which this version of the plane only permits us once we've entered the init page, so fair enough. Frankfurt 18, and then let's go to the performance initialization. So 159.9 is our zero fuel weight. 62 tons of fuel, and then contingency 1.6. You're not out of range. Okay, alternate fuel 5.3 and final reserve 2.3. Here we go. The average wind component is gonna be tailwind of 25 knots, and then the taxi fuel 0.5, like that. Perfect. We'll disregard those extra fuel calculations down there. They don't seem quite accurate, and for some reason it's deleted my reserves again. Okay, don't ask me. That'll become better once we're in the air. Okay, for our takeoff calculations then. Whoopsie, what it's doing. Here we go, that's better. So, runway 18, conv 2 takeoff at 50 degrees. So, conv 2 and 50 degrees. And the speeds are gonna be 154, 162, 165. Alright, like that. Acceleration and reduction are correct. Engine out acceleration, we'll just use 1500 above the ground. and we are going to use a fixed D-rate 1, and that's our FMS setup completed. So let's move up to the FCU. Flight directors are coming on, QNH 1040. Initial climb is 4000, and you can give me a flight director on the other side as well. Perfect, and that's our setup completed. Now, I suggest we're gonna go for our IFR clearance next. So, 1878.
Für 07 rechts. Wollen Sie zum Abflugpunkt bitte 07 rechts. Weiter.
Hintergenannte Maschine auf den Abflugpunkt der 07 rechts dahinter. Friese 06.
Frankfurt Tower, schönen guten Abend. Ocean 154, heavy information. Mike request clearance to Male.
First of 010, reduce the final approach. After 010, reduce the final approach. This one departure at.
No, he's not talking. So, let's see if he remembers our call. Well, in the meantime, as we're waiting for the clearance, I suggest we are going to start our departure briefing. So, that's going to be for you then. Alright, thank you. So, we are departing Frankfurt, runway 18, intersection Lima. Our SIT is the Cindy 6 Sierra departure, climbing 4,000 feet. MSA 4,300. The temperature outside is -1, that means we gotta apply temperature correction, so let's make that 4,500. Extra fuel in time? Well, we took pretty much the minimum and we should be good with that. Now, I don't have any hotspots for our taxi routing here. Stop margin and rejected takeoff is around 100 meters. Engine outside straight ahead on the runway track, climbing to Frankfurt X3, 5,000 feet, and then we'll take radar vectors along the south, coming back for runway 07 center, which is programmed in the secondary flight plan. We are above the maximum landing weight, so we gotta reach the overweight landing checklist there. Okay, I have no specials, nothing non-standard here. We don't need to de-ice the aircraft. And that's it. Any questions? No? Perfect. Then cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers, removed. Fuel quantity, 61,960 kilos. And that's balanced. Seatbelts on, ADRs.
Kreuze 07 Cent, überfliege 07 Center, Friese 06.
Nav and barrel ref, QNH 1040. Cockpit preparation checklist complete.
010, wind 0203 degrees 8 knots, runway 07 right, clear to land. Departing VFR traffic, flying northbound at 11 o'clock.
Okay, so, still waiting for the clearance, but I suggest we are already going to get GSX in place. So prepare for pushback and departure, please, and handling by Fraport. Frankfurt Tower, Ocean 154.
Ocean 154, Frankfurt Tower. Information Mike, cleared. So, Victor Romeo Mike, Cindy 6 Sierra departure, flight plan route, climb by asset altitude 4,000 feet, squawk 2007.
Ocean 154, clear to Male via Cindy 6 Sierra departure, flight plan route, climb 4,000 feet, squawk 2047.
Ocean 154, squawk 2007.
Squawk 2007, Ocean 154.
Ocean 154, read back correct.
Okay, Cindy 6 Sierra is confirmed, climbing 4,000, and the squawk 2007. Perfect. So then, the outside doors are closed, the flight deck door is closed. Ground flight, go. So you can remove the power and confirm doors hatches closed, ground equipment removed, bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed. Roger, thanks, and we call you in a moment. Okay, so final zero fuel weight is 159.9 with a CG at 26.6. Like that. Takeoff weight 221.4. We calculated 222, so that's perfectly fine. Alright. Very good. Then we have a CG at 28.3. That means our trim is gonna be, well, something up here, up 3.7.
Cross runway 07 center.
Okay.
Lima, November.
Perfect. Then let's say hello to our passengers and then we can go. Liebe Gäste, einen wunderschönen guten Abend aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Mein Name ist Emanuel. Im Namen der Discover darf ich Sie herzlich an Bord unseres Fluges 154 auf die Malediven begrüßen. Die Flugzeit heute wird etwa 9 Stunden und 15 Minuten betragen. Wir erwarten einen weitestgehend ruhigen Flug. Wir melden uns noch einmal mit dem neuesten Wetter, wenn wir uns im Landeanflug befinden. Wünschen Ihnen bis dahin einen schönen Aufenthalt bei uns an Bord. Lehnen Sie sich zurück und genießen Sie Ihren Flug mit uns. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening from flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Discover Airlines, welcome aboard flight 154 to the Maldives. Our flight time today is going to be 9 hours and 15 minutes. We expect a smooth flight at an altitude of initially 35,000, later on up to 39,000 feet. Sit back, relax, enjoy the flight with us. If there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Thank you very much for your attention, and again, welcome aboard. Alright. Then let's call for pushback. Ocean 154 Heavy request pushback.
Ocean 154, startup and pushback approved, facing west.
Startup and pushback approved, facing west, Ocean 154. So, ground flight, go. Push and start approved, face west, park brake set. Roger, you are... You can release the brakes. Okay, standby 1, before start checklist, park and brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust, V1 154, VR 162, V2 165, flex 50. Windows, closed, and beacon on, before start checklist complete. Okay, ground, park and brake is released, you're clear to push, and let us know when we can start the engines, please. Roger.
2113, we'll climb to 5,000 on the approach of 2 Delta, Air Canada 841, and we'll need the ice.
Air Canada 841, roger. After 010, cross runway 07 center, taxi via Lima at November 7 to gate Alpha.
Okay, the table can go, and then we are pretty much ready. Okay, flight from ground, you're clear to start the engines at your discretion. Thank you, starting in sequence 1, then 2. Engine 1 start. So, the Rolls-Royce engines do take a little while to start up. I really like the lighting engine of Flight Simulator 2024. See, it's pretty bright over here on the aprons, and that's exactly how it is in the real world. Aprons and airports in general are no dark spots like they are often portrayed in, you know, the other older flight simulators.
Berlin, Zulu 2 Delta departure.
Okay, good start on 1, starting 2.
Clear
2.
And squawk 1000.
Engine 2 start.
Clear to Berlin via Zulu 2 Delta departure, climb via sit 4000 feet, squawk 1000, Lufthansa 209.
And then the pushback looks almost complete. They're getting us clear of the road in front. And that should be it. So we do have fuel flow. And we have ignition. So, push complete, set your brakes. Parking brake set.
With information, Mike, request 5 oxygen to handbook, please.
Hotel 036, Frankfurt Tower. Cleared to Hamburg, Maroon 5 Echo departure. Airplane route, climb by Asus altitude 5,000 feet and squawk 1,000.
Alright, we have 2 good engine starts. Clear to disconnect, show me the sign on the right, please, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Echo departure, climb by Asus initially 5,000 feet, squawk 1,000.
036, feedback correct.
So, auto trim 28.3. Yep, looks about right. Okay then, waiting for the ground crew to disconnect, and they're in progress. While we're waiting for that, quick look over here reveals that the FMS doesn't expect us to be able to meet the 2,500 restriction at Delta Fox 159, so let's just correct that by changing the acceleration altitude to 2,500. That way we will be able to meet the restriction without any problems. I don't think... Oh yeah, it can actually calculate that. Very well.
209, request push and start.
Yeah. Still a bit low, but... Anyway.
Pushback is approved, facing to the west. And this way first to the company A320 crossing right to left.
Okay, so... The clear signal is received after start checklist. Anti-ice. Off. Ecom status. Checked. Pitch trim. 28.3%. Rudder trim.
Frankfurt,
Neutral after start checklist complete.
Accelerate for 1, start up and pushback approved, facing south.
Face south, Air Canada 4.
Ocean 154, request taxi.
Ocean 154, do you need the icing as well?
Ocean 154, negative.
Ocean 154, watch out, taxi straight ahead, via November at holding point runway 18.
Straight up by November or holding point 18 to Ocean 154.
And Command 96, request push and start.
Okay, clear left side, clear right side.
7, 9,
And look at that, it is moving on idle.
call you for push, it not going to pass.
Exactly what the real one does, even at these weights.
I call you for push, the traffic to pass right to left.
But let's give it a little motivation to go a bit quicker here. So we're clear to taxi all the way via November.
So 35 kilo tower door.
Now that means basically straight ahead for the entire time. It's November right up here. And that leads us all the way to the runway 18. So, brake check. Pressure 0.
35 kilo, correct.
Delta 35 kilo, which runway will I be departing on?
35 kilo, Maroon 1 Delta departure is out of runway 07 center.
So, 10 knots into the turn, the A320 is gone, perfect.
So from the 877 Frankfurt Tower, gute Wind 020 degrees 8 knots, runway 07 right, clear to land, Mike 9 approved.
Alright, what is that airplane doing right there?
796, give way to the company A320, joining Alpha 18, thereafter pushback
Well,
approved.
for now, flight control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
13.
So 35 kilo, start up and pushback approved, facing west.
And we know the rudder works. Unfortunately, the tiller disconnect button doesn't do it in the simulation over here. But we'll survive without.
796, behind the company, joining Alpha 1, Alpha 22 now, pushback approved, facing southwest.
Ocean 154, any idea what that aircraft is doing on the taxiway in front of us?
Yeah, no, not anymore at this point. Yes, just ignore him, please.
Any chance we can swing over onto Lima?
Yeah, no worries. 16 November 5, Lima. And are you able for Lima 18?
November 5, Lima, affirm we're able.
Or just then via Lima to holding for November 18.
Check zone point 18, November 5, Lima, Ocean 154. Okay, so we'll go to the left over here, then to the right again, and then to the full length. And yeah, no clue what that guy is doing there. But at least we have an easy solution today by just swinging over to the parallel taxiway. So we're now going on to Lima, which is the one over here. We're over here, November 5, and then Lima all the way. Okay, clear right side, no suspicious A320s on there yet. I gotta say the lights are looking really impressive in this sim, aren't they?
Canada 841, taxi to the icing pad 3 via the icing pad 4 via November 3.
What is that
November
guy doing here?
And Victor 159er.
They're using runway 07.
Right,
God, I hate those noobs.
Stand 4 via November 3, November Victor 159, Air Canada 81.
Okay, now we're cleared all the way to the end.
Hallo, einen wunderschönen guten Abend, Ocean Forum, selbstverständlich, alle Yankee, bitte dann.
Perfect. The cabin is ready. Taxi checklist. Flight controls checked. Flap setting. Conf 2. Radar and predictive wind shear. On and auto. Engine start selector. Norm. ECAM memo. Takeoff. No blue. Taxi checklist complete. So no changes to the takeoff briefing unless you have anything. Suppose we could just go into the calculation here, shorten that runway to 3,900 meters. See if that makes any difference for the intersection. 45! 5 degrees of flex temperature for 100 meters. That does not make any sense. That absolutely does not make any sense. But I'll tell you what, could you enter the new data into the FMS, please?
Welcome to Frankfurt, continue via Mike 8, hold short of runway 0.
I'll just use the send to FMS button here. Don't have that in the real world, but here we are. That kind of simulates our pilot monitoring during the entry. Okay, so now we do have a change to the takeoff briefing, and that is config 2 takeoff still at 45 degrees of flex temperature, speeds 150, 156, 159. The rest is unchanged.
Boeing 787 from the right. Thereafter taxi via November 3, Lima, and Lima 20 to holding.
Alright. So departure frequency should be 120155 if I'm not mistaken, but let's check.
20 and then 07 center. It's under 35 kilo.
Here we are, long radar to the south, 13613.
Correct. Runway 07 center via November 8, Lima and Lima 20, and squawk 21060.
Here we go.
Via November 8, Lima, Lima 21, 100.07 cents, and squawking 2106 now, so sounds 767.
Alright then. Are you ready?
Lufthansa 209er, request taxi.
Lufthansa 209er, taxi to holding point runway 07 center via November 7, Lima and Lima 20.
And of course, no radio discipline here.
Customer 5 Kilo X-ray Frankfurt Tower low. Wind 020 degrees 9 knots, runway 07 right, clear to land, Mike 9
Ocean 154 Heavy, ready for departure.
Ocean 154, wind 020 degrees 9 knots, runway 18 clear for takeoff.
Runway 18 clear for takeoff, Ocean 154. Cabin crew, prepare for departure.
Lufthansa 209er, taxi to holding point runway 07 center via
Approaching
November 7 and
18.
Lima.
Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway 18 via Lima. TCAS, TARA, packs 1 and 2. Off, lineup checklist complete. Okay, are you ready? Yes? Perfect. Then let's line it up.
Tower 54.
Dome light off.
On runway 18.
Checked.
Fox Tower, good day, Conrad Honda Fox Hotel, we are on the status for the alert, runway 07 right, about 18 miles out.
Fox Hotel, Fox Tower low, number 2.
Number 2.
Takeoff. Manflex 45 SRS, auto thrust blue.
After 796, give way to Air Canada Boeing 787, crossing right left to right on November.
Thrust set.
After 796, give way to Air Canada Boeing 787, crossing left to right.
100 knots. Checked.
The 877, cross runway 07 center, taxi left on Lima, hold short of November 7.
Rotate.
Washington Romeo, continue via Papa, November 11, hold short of November.
Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked.
Approximately 35 kilo, give way to company Airbus A330, joining from November 8.
Give way to the A340 and the 35 kilo.
Foxtrot 54 Papa, wind 020 degrees and 9 knots, runway 07 left, clear to land, Papa 6 approved.
Thrust decline 1, auto thrust.
7 left, first one, that's for Papa. 154, identified, contact Langen, 136, decimal 130.
We're going to take November 10 if that's okay.
First, Ocean 154, contact Langen, 136, decimal 130.
136, 130, Ocean 154, cheers. And pack 2 on.
And first.
Landradar, schönen guten Abend. Ocean 154 Heavy, 2600, climbing 4000. Flaps 1, speed checked. So 13613 is here. Let's try that again. Long radar, guten Abend. Ocean 154 Heavy, 2800, climbing 4000. Flap 0, speed checked. Is he not answering?
Denver Tower, welcome to 1020, stand Alpha 21, requesting ground clearance information.
Autopilot 1. Vertical speed. Frankfurt, Ocean 154, negative contact on 13613.
Ocean 154, yeah, Langen is offline now. No further is the Unicom. Wanted to listen to H2.
Unicom, Ocean 154. And that's the reason I don't like to fly in Wahnsinn. For those videos.
First for the stream Mike uniform, speed 170 knots until 6 miles final.
Okay, well, at least in that case we are not restricted for the climb. Thrust decline 1, climb out 1000 blue. As a small compensation though, at least the view outside is absolutely awesome, isn't it? Look at that. Is that standard? Standard cross-check, passing flight level 43. Now, checked. Okay, perfect. So with that we're up and in the air. 4 hours gone. 9 hours 11 to go. What's the ETA down here? 0612. Okay. Well, how does the famous sentence go? Noch 9 Stunden 10. Dann sind wir da. Dann sind wir im Paradies. Germans will know. Okay, let's take a small shortcut here. Let's go direct to sleep, which our passengers will hopefully soon be able to. And when they wake up, we're gonna be in paradise. Well, after a lovely lunch or dinner service, that is. Okay, so doesn't look like there's any traffic in the area. Then let's climb to flight level 250. Now look at that. At these temperatures, we are even getting a good rate of climb out of the A330. Doesn't happen too often. And that's even still with the D-rate in. The D-rate really makes a difference in the A330. With the climb D-rates enabled, it easily takes like 30 to 35 minutes to get you up to cruising level. Without climb D-rates, you can do it in a much more decent time. But then again, it saves engine life, especially on the older A330s, not the Neos, but the conventionals, where the engines are all like, 15, 20, 25 years old. So you definitely want to save that engine life whenever you can. Apart from that, clear skies, and I do hope it's gonna stay that way for most of our flight, so that we'll actually be able to see something outside. At least for the most part of it. The one part I like the most about flying along this route is when you have the more southerly route, not the one we're taking today, but the more southerly one where you go across Egypt and you see the Nile and the entire Nile Delta at night. That's so impressive. Today though, we're going via Turkey, so that's a little different routing, but nonetheless, I'm sure that we're gonna have a great sunrise over Dubai. Alright, passing 10,000. So, lights are coming on for the time being. Then, clear and copy please, and we can release our passengers. Okay, so cruise level 350, optimal level 354. Now that looks just about perfect to me. Well then, I tend to say, sit back, relax, enjoy the service, enjoy dinner, and then I see you all as we are approaching the Maldives, or as anything interesting happens. getting closer, though I can't spot any of the islands just yet, but I'm sure that is going to change in time for our landing. Now, let's go ahead and actually start setting the aircraft up for our approach into Malé. So, looking at the weather radar, it looks like they have a little bit of weather moving through at the moment. However, I'm sure that's not really going to be too much of a problem. Now let's see if the simulator is still awake and still has a couple of charts in stock for us. You never know with this sim. And in the meantime, we can go over to our electronic flight bag, get the latest weather, and we have a wind 030 at 9, 4,000 meters in haze, TCUs, temporary 5,000 meters showers of rain, CVs. Yeah, typical Maldives weather. Typical Maldives weather. Okay, looks like we actually don't have any charts over here, so let's move over into the Navigraph charts and get them from there instead. And that of course means we gotta get rid of any of those old flights over here and import the latest. Frankfurt to Malé. And here we go. So, looking into the arrivals, it looks like SimBrief has planned the conventional arrival for us. However, that's most likely not what we are actually going to fly. So, let's start over here. Runway 36 is our landing runway now, and they do have an ILS available over there. So let's go ahead and reprogram the FMS for the new arrival. So we do have the ILS X-ray starting in Benku, and then we have the conventional ILS Whiskey. However, by now everything is covered with ANAV procedures in the Maldives, so we are going to fly the ANAV arrival. Then we can find our ANAV stars over here as well, or at least in theory we can. Interestingly enough, they don't seem to have ANAV procedures available here in Navigraph. Well, that's interesting. They do have ANAV procedures over here. Okay, let's try that one again. So, first of all, we're looking for the ILS approach. X-ray, runway 36. And I gotta say, this looks quite different from what we are using in the real world. This really looks quite different. There should be a nice ANAV arrival leading you right into a downwind. Which I'm not 100% sure where it actually is. Let's try that way, ANAV. And, well, it doesn't seem to be here. Well, we're coming from Elbert, so it's probably an Elbert arrival, not a Lelem arrival. But that is interesting. So Elbert 1 Alpha it is. Yeah, that looks like what I'm familiar with. Alright, so Elbert 1 Alpha, if I see this right. Yes, I do. Right, we don't need a transition over here. We'll take the Benku transition down here, insert that. And here we go. That looks more like it. Now let's go ahead and check these routes in the FMS. So from Elbert we're going to Mike 511. And then all the way down south via Ronji above 5,500, waypoint 506 above 5,500, 505 above 5,500, and then onto Banku at 4,000, and onto the ILS X-ray approach runway 36. And that's pretty much what you can expect over here. Now, normally you do get shortcuts. Last time I've been here we flew direct to Mike 505, so most likely we're going to do that in the sim over here as well when the time has come and we are close enough. For the approach itself, Banku max 210, 4,000 or above, then on towards waypoint 602. Thereafter descend 2,000, 601 at 2,000, and that is from where we are going to start the ILS. 3-degree glide slope matches the chart, and in case of missed approach, climb straight ahead to 4,000, and then turn right and proceed to Banku and hold or as directed. About as easy as it gets, isn't it? Alright, we don't need to tune any VOR for that one, then we're going to VRMM runway 36. Put that into here, onto the performance pages. For the descent, let's do Mach 80 and 300 knots. Now, let's see about the destination weather, and we can just grab that right from here. So, 030 at 9. The temperature today is 28 degrees. That's just lovely. And the QNH 1013. So, going down to the minimum of 220. And for some strange reason it isn't changing the VLS when I change the flap configuration. I would go for flaps 3 in the real world, because the runway is more than long enough, you gotta vacate close to the end anyway. But well, then we are gonna stick to config full if it's not recalculating any of the data over here, just to be on the safe side there. MSA 1500, so we'll use that for the engine out acceleration altitude. 8 minutes extra fuel, isn't the entire world, but it's kinda okay. Now this is a little bug here in the real world. When you go to secondary and then init, next page, it doesn't bring you to the fuel prediction page but to the init B page. On the secondary it does that when the engines are running, and that one shows you the landing weight, which makes it rather easy to calculate your landing performance, but looks like they don't have that over here. So, looking at the airport chart, landing 36, vacating close to the end, Delta 2 most likely. So we have 3,400 meters of runway available, maybe Delta 3. We'll leave the auto brake off so that the brakes are not going to heat up. Well, and that's our basic setup. We can pre-select the QNH, 1013. Over here and over here. Perfect. And that's it for the time being. So then comes the famous question. Are you ready for the approach briefing? So, tell me. Alright, we're arriving by the Elbet 1 Alpha arrival. MSA 1500, ILS X-ray approach runway 36 with a minimum of 220 feet. Go around straight at 4000, right turn, back to Banku, and we do have 8 minutes of extra fuel. Isn't the entire world, but it's sufficient for our purposes. Even though the weather is worse than what was actually forecast, but after all, I just want to see a couple islands on the approach. And look at that! We have the first island visible out here. Getting there, slowly but steadily. Okay then, anyway, we gotta focus. So the approach will be guided by the flight director and landing flaps full stop margin, yeah, a couple hundred meters. We will use maximum reverse, no auto brakes, vacate the runway to the left, and we don't have any hotspots for the taxi in. Special operations, to be honest, nothing. Non-standard operations, likewise, nothing. Threats for the arrival, yeah, cowboys. And with cowboys, obviously, I mean VFR traffic, and they have lots of it over there. For that reason, it's rather important that we stick to the published altitudes and that we have a good lookout during the approach. Now, it looks like the weather really isn't perfect, but it is fine for VFR flying. They can fly like that, and they will fly like that. So, good lookout sight is paramount for our arrival here. Alright. Miscellaneous? No, I don't really have anything. So that's our briefing complete. Then let's say bye-bye to our passengers. Liebe Gäste, einen schönen guten Morgen aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Wir werden in Kürze unseren Sinkflug in Richtung Male starten. Verbleibende Flugzeit jetzt noch circa eine halbe Stunde. Das Wetter auf den Malediven, aktuell ziehen noch einige Schauer durch, im Laufe des Tages klart es auf. Die Temperatur schon jetzt bei 28 Grad. Wir bedanken uns ganz herzlich, dass Sie heute unsere Gäste waren, dass Sie Discover Airlines für diesen Flug gewählt haben. Wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt, wunderschönen Urlaub und hoffen, Sie nach einigen erholsamen Wochen dann auch wieder an Bord von einem unserer Flugzeuge willkommen zu heißen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und aus dem Cockpit möchten wir uns nun schon einmal von Ihnen verabschieden und wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. We will start our descent to the Maldives in the next couple of minutes and have a remaining flight time of about half an hour. Weather at the moment, a little bit rainy, but it's going to clear up throughout the day. The temperature already 28 degrees. We would like to thank you for being our guests today. Hope you have enjoyed the flight and wish you a very nice day. If applicable, nice and safe continuous journey, and we wish you lovely holidays, the best time of the year, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much for your attention. Okay, so passengers have been briefed, and then we are ready to go down. So we did have to deviate around quite a couple of weather cells here, but it's been worth it. The first couple of atolls are coming into sight, and we can now enjoy the beautiful Maldivian scenery as we are going to approach. Now, first things first though, we do have to work a little bit. After all, that's why we're sitting here. So let's go left a couple degrees again to get ourselves slowly into the region of our final approach fix again. And then we did pass 10,000, so let's run our checks and make sure that our aircraft is prepared for the arrival. Of course, knowing our luck, the weather cells are right above the airport, so we'll have to see how good visibility on the approach is going to be, but I'm positive that we will get to see something interesting here. So, let's go down to 5,500 feet and then tell the cabin crew, prepare for landing. Okay, so far so good. Now, I don't want to go much further to the left yet. As you can see, there are still quite a couple of weather cells over there, which I don't necessarily want to fly through. Passenger comfort, after all, is somewhat important, especially on those holiday flights where you just have people on board who fly maybe once or twice a year. For the Maldives themselves, we are using the FSDG scenery, which has recently been made compatible with Flight Simulator 2024, and which just looked gorgeous in the old simulator. And back then, you guys promised me, or rather you guys made me promise, that I would fly here on some long hauls, and well, here you are. Absolutely beautiful seeing those atolls. In the real world, even more so in the sim. So we'll stay on this heading until we clear that weather cell over here, then we'll make a left-hand turn back towards the ILS approach. Now we're exactly in the spot where we gotta pay attention to any of the VFR traffic. Normally they're flying down low, serving all those atolls and connecting them with the main Male airport. And normally they stay below 2,500, but with weather conditions like these, especially when you're flying through the area that is clear of any weather, you better be careful there. So the focus is clearly on looking outside now. And of course managing our aircraft's energy to be sure that we get down as far as we need to go, as quickly as we need to go there. Now look at that. Now that's the kind of scenery we'd like to see. That's why we fly to the Maldives. Okay, descending 4,000. Hopefully, by the time we turn to the final, we will have left most of these showers behind over here, and then just be able to make a left-hand turn, but not according to the weather radar. We'll see about it. With a bit of luck, that bit of precipitation will have moved through by the time we start the left turn. Looking outside, it probably looks like it. Let's get ourselves one more weather update, see if anything has changed. Yeah, 0308 at 8, 7,000 light showers of rain, 281013. CB's west-northwest. So 030 at 8. Okay, so turn left, heading 030, cleared ILS approach, runway 36. Lovely rainbow. Okay, localizer are alive. And approach armed. Blockstar, Cat 3 Dual, Autopilot 1 and 2. Alt Star. So, the flight plan is sequenced, approach phase active, alt. A little bit of a headwind here. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Looks like we're going right into it again though. Glass up star, lock. Go around altitude 4000 sept. We may be a little bit fast here, let's correct that. Get ourselves a bit of speed brake. Glide slope. Alright, flaps 2, speed checked, flaps 2. Just lovely. Right, gear down. Checked. Flaps 3, speed checked. Flaps 3. Flaps full, speed checked. Flaps full. Okay, what's the cabin doing? Here they go. Landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. Now don't ask me what the flap plan is doing there. Must be a little bug. But in any case, we are nice and stable. We might be breaking out of the showers just prior to the runway if I can trust that weather radar. But let me just see if I can fix that flap plan just in case of go around. Direct to the runway. Okay, glass up star, lock star. Yeah, the flap plan is fixed now. That's better. Alright. Manual flight. Cat 1. Checked. And I can see the island on our 12 o'clock. And there's our runway inside over there.
Approaching 36.
Checked. Okay, manual thrust. 500. Checked. Land.
300. 100 above.
Checked.
Minimum.
Continue. A little bit windy here.
100. 50. 40. 30, 20, 10.
Spoiler, reverse green, decel.
One 1,500 meters remaining. 1,200 remaining.
70 knots.
900 remaining.
And manual brakes, we'll go for the next exit here.
600 remaining.
So, here we are. Or as someone recently said, it's not break to vacate, it's break to vacation. Welcome to Maldives. Those were some pretty interesting winds on the final there. They didn't seem too bad, but it really moved us left and right and left and right. You could see how I had to do one rather violent correction there to get the aircraft to remain on path. So, runway is vacated. Starting up the APU, we'll do the rest of the procedure once we pass this turn over here. Here we are. So, temperature's 28, that means we can retract the flaps fully. After landing checklist. Radar and predictive wind shear off. After landing checklist complete. So, parking on gate 10 today. And they call it 10 Alpha apparently. Well, doesn't matter, we'll take that one, and we don't need to follow me over here. So let's have a look at the parking chart so that we can come up with a plan on how to get into that stand. So, parking down here, Alpha 10, and we are currently on Charlie going southbound. Charlie actually is the old runway, if you guys have seen those famous videos of that LTU A330 landing in Male, the one that I actually analyzed on my channel once. Then we are currently on that former runway, which is now taxiway Charlie, and we're going all the way down to Bravo 8, and then around the corner and into Alpha 10 down here. So, APU available, shutdown engine 2. Saves quite a bit of fuel to shut an engine down on a long taxi in like this one. Really recommended to do this. And around the typical landing weights, the A330 has no problem with single engine taxi whatsoever. In fact, in the simulation, it loses speed when you do this. In the real world, it still accelerates on a single engine. So that's really impressive. So, it looks like it's starting to rain over here. Wipers on. Did they actually wipe anything? It doesn't look like it, does it? Oh well, that's fine. Wow, it's getting dark outside. It's getting dark quickly. So that's the new terminal being built, but it's not in operation just yet. So then, we are gonna taxi past Bravo 7 over here, which is the last intersection to the runway. And then the next one to the right after that is going to be Bravo 8, which is ours. Okay, off to the right, and then back to the left. And wipe us off. So it's getting a little bit slow right now. Let's add a bit of power. In the real world it's easier to do single engine taxi. Okay, gate 10 is coming up. Over here we do have ground staff, that's very good. And not always granted. So lights off. It's losing a bit too much speed. And hello there. GSX is coming up with new inventions over and over again. Look at that. Come on, you keep going straight. Here we are. Parking brake set, APU bleed on, and shut down. Cabin crew, all doors in park. And with that, my friends, welcome to the Maldives. Engines are running down, beacon off, seatbelts off. Flight deck from ground, hello? Hello, flight deck here. Hi, I hope you had a good flight. Chocks in position and you can release your parking brakes. Also, I'd love to say, for some reason we can't really connect the chocks over here. So we'll keep it at that. Alrighty, thank you very much. And then we can do the parking checklist, please. So, parking brake at chocks, brake set, engines off, fuel pumps off, parking checklist complete. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this flight with us. If you did, be sure to leave your feedback underneath the video. I'm always looking forward to it. Hope you enjoyed this one. And I'm looking forward to see you again on the return flight, hopefully in the not too far future. But for the time being, enjoy your speedboat ride, or even better, your twin otter ride to your resort. Enjoy your holidays. And with that, I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one. As always, like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.